Dear Chosen, one of God, listen closely. This was never about your body. The real assassins didn't come with knives or guns. They came wearing the faces of people you once trusted. Friends, partners, even family members. They came with words that cut deeper than any blade. They came with betrayals, silent rejections, manipulative kindness, and twisted loyalty. Their mission wasn't to end your life. Their mission was far more sinister. They wanted to kill your soul, the part of you that shines, that loves, that believes. But they failed. And today, we're going to expose why their plan collapsed and how your spirit survived the ambush they thought would destroy you. You need to stay right here, because what I'm about to tell you may change the way you see your entire past. Many of those moments when you felt abandoned, humiliated, or made to feel too much, they weren't coincidences. They were calculated attacks. Attacks on your identity, attacks on your divine mission, attacks designed to make you question your worth until you willingly gave up your light. But Chosen One, you didn't. You held on, sometimes by a thread, sometimes in silence, sometimes through your tears. But you held on, and now it's time to see those moments for what they really were: failed missions from those who tried to dim what God made untouchable. Before we go any deeper, let me ask you something that only your soul can answer. How many times did you almost believe them? How many times did you almost shrink yourself to fit into the small box they built for you? Comment below right now if this is resonating. They failed, I rise. And don't forget, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell. Stay with me until the end, because I promise you, by the time we're done, you'll see clearly how their mission against you failed, and how God turned their plan into the fuel for your rise. From the moment you were born, there were forces already watching, already plotting to silence the voice that God placed inside you. The first assassins didn't look like enemies. They looked like the people who were supposed to love you most. Maybe it was a parent who never saw your worth, a friend who envied your light, or a partner who subtly tried to mold you into something smaller. Their words and actions weren't always loud, but they pierced deep, planting seeds of doubt, fear, and self-rejection. And the tragedy is, you didn't even know you were under attack. You thought this was love. You thought this was normal. But deep inside, your soul whispered, "This is not what I came here for." The first wound is always the most dangerous because it opens the door to more. After that initial betrayal, that first time you were made to feel too sensitive, too different, too much, the assassins multiplied. They came through teachers who dismissed your gifts, through partners who loved the idea of you, but hated your power, through jobs and systems that tried to force you into a mold that could never fit your spirit. And each time you bent yourself to please them, to be accepted, a little piece of your soul felt like it was slipping away. But what they didn't realize was that your essence is unkillable. God placed a flame in you that no assassin can extinguish. What makes these attacks so dangerous is how silent they are. You see, Chosen One, nobody came and told you outright, "I am here to kill your soul." Instead, they disguised their mission as advice, as concern, as love. "You shouldn't dream so big. You're too emotional. Why can't you be like everyone else?" But these weren't just harmless words. These were daggers aimed at the heart of who you are. And for a long time, maybe you believed them. Maybe you tried to fit into the box they made. Maybe you even silenced parts of yourself just to survive. But that box could never contain the destiny God wrote for you. Every time you stayed silent when you wanted to speak your truth, that was their plan working. Every time you dimmed your light so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable, they cheered in the shadows. Every time you second-guessed your own intuition because someone else called you crazy or too intense, the assassins thought they were winning. But here's the miracle. Even in those moments, something inside you refused to die. Even in your quietest despair, even in your darkest nights, your soul kept breathing, kept fighting, kept waiting for the day when you would see what was really happening and take your power back. The plan they had for you was to turn you into a shell of yourself, a version of you that no longer dreamed, no longer believed, no longer dared to shine. That was the mission, not to end your body, but to get you to end your own light. That's the real assassination, when the chosen one abandons themselves. But the reason their mission failed is because you didn't abandon yourself. You might have wavered, you might have fallen, but you didn't quit. And that, dear chosen one, is what makes you unstoppable. God designed you to rise again, no matter how many times you were pushed down. Now think back. How many faces did these assassins wear in your life? How many times did they smile while silently hoping you'd fail? How many times did they clap for you publicly, but in their hearts prayed for your downfall? The assassins weren't always strangers. Sometimes they were the ones closest to you, and that's what made their mission so dangerous. Because you trusted them, you let them close. But even then, they couldn't succeed, because God placed a protection over your soul that no human plan could override. The turning point came the moment you started seeing the truth for yourself, the moment you began to notice that the words meant to encourage were actually designed to limit, that the relationships you thought were love were really control, that the silence you kept wasn't peace, it was fear. And in that moment, the plan failed, because you woke up. And once a chosen one wakes up to the truth, no assassin can ever touch them again. From that moment on, you began to take back what was yours all along. Your light, your voice, your mission. There's something I need you to understand deeply. The assassins didn't fail because they stopped coming. No, they failed because you stopped surrendering. The moment you saw through their tactics, the moment you chose to believe in your own worth instead of their lies, their weapons lost their power. They still tried, through gossip, through manipulation, through silent betrayals, but something in you had shifted. You were no longer easy prey. The cracks they once found in your soul were now sealed with wisdom. You began to see the patterns. You began to sense the energy behind the words, behind the fake support. And with that, you took back what they tried so hard to steal: your spiritual authority. Every attack you endured taught you to sharpen your discernment. Where once you gave your heart freely to anyone who smiled, now you look deeper. Where once you explained your dreams to those who only wanted to mock them, now you protect your vision. That's how the assassin's mission failed. They thought their rejection would break you. Instead, it made you wiser. They thought their silence would silence you. Instead, it taught you the power of your own voice. They thought their games would confuse you. Instead, it trained you to see through illusions. And this, dear chosen one, is how God turns what was meant for harm into the very thing that strengthens you. The most dangerous assassins weren't the ones who attacked openly. It was the ones who acted like they loved you. The ones who said, "I'm just trying to help," while pushing you deeper into insecurity. The ones who offered their shoulder only to listen for your weaknesses. These assassins came dressed as comfort, as safety, as home. But they weren't sent by God. They were sent to test you, to see if you'd choose your truth over their approval. And every time you chose truth, even when it hurt, even when it meant losing people, you were crushing their plan beneath your feet. You were proving that the soul God gave you is stronger than any scheme of man. It wasn't just about people. The assassins also came through your own thoughts, the ones planted by the voices of the past. I'm not good enough. I'll never be loved for who I really am. Maybe I should just give up. These weren't your thoughts. They were seeds planted by those who wanted to see your light dimmed, but you began to recognize them for what they were: lies. And with every lie you rejected, With every inner voice you silenced that didn't come from God, you took another step in crushing their plan. The battlefield wasn't just around you, it was inside you. And you, chosen one, have been winning the war. Somewhere along the way, you realize that not everyone who calls themselves a friend is safe for your spirit. You stopped inviting everyone into your sacred space. You stopped explaining your soul to people who couldn't see beyond your surface. That's when the assassins knew they'd lost, because their plan was always to keep you distracted, entangled, confused. But when you started clearing the noise, when you started walking lighter, freer, stronger, you became untouchable. They couldn't stop your rise because your rise came from within, from the place they could never reach, your connection to God. And now, the same ones who plotted against your soul stand back in confusion, because they see you shining brighter than ever. They see that the chains they tried to wrap around your spirit are broken at your feet. They see the peace they tried to steal glowing from your face. They see the purpose they tried to block moving through you like fire. This is why they fear you now. Not because you fought them with anger, but because you defeated them by refusing to become what they wanted you to be. Small, bitter, lost. You stayed true, and that truth is what crushed their plan for good. But don't think for a second that the story ends here. The failed mission of these assassins wasn't the final chapter. In fact, their failure became the beginning of your real mission. God allowed those attacks not to break you, but to build you. Every betrayal was a lesson. Every rejection was a redirection. Every moment of loneliness was a reminder that your path was never meant to follow the crowd. And now, you walk with eyes open, heart guarded by wisdom, and a soul on fire with purpose. This is the victory they never wanted you to claim, but it's yours now, and no one can take it. What's most powerful about your journey, chosen one, is that even when you didn't realize you were under attack, your soul kept resisting. There were times when you felt so tired, so overwhelmed by the weight of expectations, judgments, and betrayals that you almost gave in. You almost accepted the small version of yourself they tried to hand you. You almost stopped fighting for your own dreams, your own voice, your own truth. But something deep inside, a whisper, a knowing, a divine spark, refused to let you fall asleep spiritually. And that is what saved you. Not because you were stronger than the assassins, but because the God who lives in you is stronger than anything they could ever send against you. Every night you cried yourself to sleep because someone you loved rejected you. God was standing over you, collecting those tears, turning them into fuel for your future strength. You didn't know it then. All you could feel was the pain, the confusion, the weight of wondering, why me? Why does it always feel like the people I love most hurt me the deepest? But now you see. Those moments were forging your spirit like fire for a greater mission. The assassins thought they were killing you with those betrayals, but they were only pushing you closer to the truth of who you are. A soul chosen by God, unstoppable because your worth doesn't depend on human approval. And yes, there were moments when the plan almost worked. Let's be real. You had days when you doubted yourself so much that you questioned if you even had a purpose. You had moments when you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back because you felt so lost, so empty, so broken. That was the enemy's plan at work, to get you to self-destruct. But here you are, listening to this message, proving that their mission failed because no matter how low you sank, your soul kept reaching for the light. And that light never stopped reaching for you. That's the connection the assassins could never sever. There's a sacred strength that comes from surviving what was sent to destroy you. You don't just walk away the same. You walk away with eyes that see through deception, with ears that hear the truth beneath the noise, with a heart that loves more deeply because it knows what it cost to stay open. The assassins' plan failed not because they stopped attacking, but because you outgrew their weapons. What once could wound you deeply now barely scratches the surface. What once confused you now reveals itself as obvious manipulation. And what once felt like the end of you became the beginning of your true rise. But let's go deeper, because the failed mission of those assassins holds a lesson most people miss. The real victory isn't that they failed to kill your soul. The real victory is that you learned how to protect it. You learned how to listen to your intuition, how to set boundaries, how to walk away from what drains you. You learned how to honor your truth even when it costs you relationships, comfort, or security. That's what terrifies those who tried to control you, that you are no longer accessible to their games. They see now that you belong to God, and that makes you untouchable by their schemes. Look back at the path you've walked, and you'll see it clearly. Every person who tried to break you, every situation that tried to crush your spirit, every voice that tried to convince you that you were less, all of it was part of a plan to assassinate the light inside you. But all of it failed, and now you walk as proof that what is truly divine cannot be destroyed by human hands or demonic plans. You walk as living testimony that God's purpose will always outlast the enemy's plot. And because of that, you carry a strength that humbles your enemies without you ever lifting a hand against them. And now comes the part that most of them never expected. Your rise isn't quiet. The same people who tried to dim your light are now forced to watch it shine. They see you moving differently. They feel your energy shift. They sense that the access they once had is gone forever. And deep down, they know their mission failed because you chose God over fear, truth over lies, purpose over comfort. And as you continue to rise, you're not just rising for yourself. You're rising to light the way for others who are still caught in the traps you've broken free from. That's the part they never planned for. That's the part they can't stop. What those who tried to assassinate your soul didn't understand is that your pain became your teacher. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every whispered insult behind your back was meant to break you. But instead, it built you. You didn't just survive, you evolved. You learned to see through the fake smiles, to feel the hidden agendas behind soft words. You stopped explaining yourself to those determined to misunderstand you. You stopped offering your heart to those who only came to feed on it. And as you made these choices, one by one, their plan crumbled. They had no idea that the very storms they sent would water the seeds of your divine strength. There's a certain silence that comes after you've defeated the invisible assassins. It's not the silence of isolation or despair. It's the silence of clarity. You no longer chase approval. You no longer seek validation from those who tried to cage your soul. You walk in a peace that confuses those who thought they'd broken you. And that's what terrifies them most now. You found your center, your connection with God, and they can no longer reach you. They watch from the distance, realizing that the more they tried to destroy you, the more they prepared you for the mission they wanted to stop. But let's be honest, dear chosen one, the journey here wasn't easy. There were nights when you doubted everything, when you wondered if the problem was you, when you questioned whether your sensitivity was a flaw, whether your passion was too much, whether your vision was foolish. Those were the moments when the assassins' voices echoed the loudest in your mind. And yet, somehow, you kept going. Somehow, you found just enough faith, just enough hope to take one more step, to speak one more truth, to hold on one more day. And with each of those moments, the plan against you unraveled a little more. What your enemies, your fake friends, and your silent betrayers never saw coming was this: the more they tried to bury you, the deeper your roots grew. They thought they were ending your story, but they were actually writing the testimony that would outlive their schemes. They thought they were silencing you, but every attempt only amplified your voice. They thought they were stealing your joy, but instead, they taught you how to create a joy that no one can take away. That's why their mission failed so completely, because what they meant for evil, God transformed into the foundation of your strength, your wisdom, and your unshakable purpose. And now, when they see you, they don't just see the person they tried to break, they see the living proof of their own failure. There's something sacred about the fire that tried to consume you, chosen one. You didn't just walk through it. You came out refined, clearer, stronger, with a heart that beats with purpose. That fire sharpened your vision, opened your ears to the whispers of God, and taught you to stand tall in places where you once felt small. Now, when those who plotted against you look your way, they see not the victim they hoped to create, but the warrior who rose from the ashes. They see the light they tried to dim shining brighter than ever, and it unsettles them, because it reminds them that they never had real power over you. Their mission failed because they underestimated the one who stands with you. And now, as you walk forward, let this truth anchor your spirit. Their plan didn't fail just because you resisted. It failed because you chose love over hate, truth over lies, purpose over pain. Every betrayal, every attempt to plant doubt, every silent attack became the soil where God grew deeper wisdom, compassion, and strength in you. The real assassins weren't just people. They were the voices of fear, shame, and guilt that tried to keep you small. But even those voices fell silent when you chose God's truth over their noise. Now, no darkness can undo what God has done. No manipulation can bind what God has set free. Your healed, awakened existence is the loudest testimony of their failure, and that is what makes you unstoppable. You didn't just survive the attacks, chosen one. You became wiser than the schemes designed to destroy you. You learned to trust the quiet voice of God within, the one that warned you, this person isn't safe. This situation doesn't honor your spirit. And each time you listened, each time you walked away from what didn't serve your highest good, you shattered another piece of the enemy's plan. Their greatest fear was that you would see them before they could strike. And now that you do, they fear not only your light, but your sight. Because you see through the masks, you recognize the traps, and you no longer play their game. That is how their mission failed. Because you chose clarity over confusion, and truth over illusion. What broke their plan was not arrogance, but sacred courage. You stopped shrinking for those who would never honor your spirit. You stopped explaining yourself to those determined to misunderstand you. You stopped needing crumbs of approval from those who secretly wanted to see you fall. And when you did, their greatest weapon shattered, because their mission depended on you staying small. But you chose to feast at God's table, to honor your divine worth, to protect your peace. And in doing so, every tear, every silent struggle, every sleepless night became part of the testimony of what they could not destroy. Your scars no longer speak of what hurt you. They speak of what God healed. And now, as you rise, remember this. Their plan failed not because you fought harder, but because you became who God always intended you to be. You chose purpose over pain, love over bitterness, truth over lies. The real assassins weren't just people. They were the inner voices of fear, shame, and guilt that tried to keep you small. But even they fell silent as you chose God's truth over their noise. You stand now as a living reminder that no darkness can bind what God has freed. Your existence as a healed, whole, awakened soul exposes every failed scheme of the enemy. And that is why you are unstoppable. That is why you rise. So walk forward, chosen one, with your head high, not out of arrogance, but with a sacred confidence that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. The plan to break your soul has failed. The chains meant to hold you down are shattered, and the lies that were planted to dim your light have been uprooted. No more shrinking back. No more hiding the fire within you just to make others comfortable. That fire was placed in you by God, and it is meant to guide you, strengthen you, and remind you every day that no weapon formed against you can prosper. Every plan designed in the dark fell apart the moment you chose to stand in the truth. That is your unshakable reality now, and nothing and no one can take it from you. As you look back, see your path not as a story of defeats, but as the preparation that forged your rise. The pain didn't destroy you. It stripped away the illusions that tried to keep you small. The betrayals didn't break you. They ended the false connections that couldn't walk with you into your destiny. The lonely seasons weren't punishments. They were sacred spaces where God's voice became clearer than ever. Every attack, every trap, every attempt to silence you only served to reveal the strength God was building in you all along. That's why the enemy's mission failed, because nothing sent against you could match what God placed within you from the beginning. And now, chosen one, claim your victory with boldness. No more second-guessing. No more shrinking to fit where you no longer belong. You are free to rise, to shine, to walk fully in the purpose God set for you before you were even born. Let your peace, your joy, your resilience be the loudest testimony of their failure. Every step you take in truth exposes the powerlessness of the darkness. What God has blessed, no one can curse. What God has called, no one can silence. So stand in that light, walk in that truth, and let this be your declaration. Their mission failed. I rise. This is only the beginning of your rise. Keep shining. Keep walking. The victory is already yours.